Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Time Spiral Remastered draft. Before I dive into the cards, I want to remind you that if you enjoy the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment in the comment section down below with your questions, thoughts, and feedback. And if you would like to catch the stream live, you can find that at twitch.tv/NicolaiBolas, and supporting my content is easy at patreon.com/NicolaiBolas as well. Let's dive on into this pack, though. There's an Elvish Mystic, which is a nice one-drop. We'll hover that for now. I do like Prodigal Pyromancer, though, because there are a lot of one-toughness creatures in the set. So I think that might just be better than Elvish Mystic. Elvish Mystic is good and limited, but it's only as good as the things you're accelerating out, and this is really quite nice. Char Rumbler, 4 mana, but it can gain +1/+0. Harmonic Sliver, pretty neat. And then Hypergenesis. Yeah, that's not really a limited card. I think in the common section, the best common is this Amru's Scout. I'm going to be doing my best to cover as many of the cards as possible, but there are a lot of cards, and if you haven't seen them, then it's just going to be tricky to keep up. But I like starting off with the Pyromancer. There's a lot of one-toughness cards running around in the set. I'm not really going to be playing for value World Rock. I'm going to try to do my best to win and have fun and stuff like that. So we've got a red card in the pile. Following that up, let's look at Grenzo Dungeon Warden. Pretty neat card. It's a 2/2, or it can be like a 5/5, which is pretty nice. Bottom card into your graveyard. If it's a creature, you can put it on the battlefield. That's pretty nice. Pretty powerful effect, even though it's gold. So it's like a protection spell, but it's also gold. Only produced by basic lands to cast this spell. So it's a 4 mana 5/5. If you don't have any non-basics, which is pretty much every deck. Sign me up. 3 mana 3/2 flash that can kill white creatures. That's wild. But it also buffs white creatures. I think I'm just going to take the 4 mana 5/5. But I could see this card being good as well. And there's also a Terramorphic Expanse if I needed a splash. Okay, so now there's a Dreadsheep Reef, which can be fixing for neither of our colors. Molten Slag Heap, which can also be fixing, but it is like kind of slow fixing. There's another Amru's Scout, so maybe that's a little signal point. Street Wraith is definitely a lot worse in draft. Looter Ilkor does some pretty cool things. Helps filter your mana, so I'm going to hover that for now. You can search for colors. There are a lot of white cards in this pack. I like the Cavalry and the Scout. Sangrophage. Reckless Worm, 5 mana 4/4, so solid body. It goes with my first pick a little bit. It also goes well with this Looter Ilkor. I will say Amru's Scout could be the pick here. It does seem like a good card. I'm going to take the Scout. It goes well with some Rebels themes, potentially. I could go red-white or green-white, which is a nice spot to be. This card just strikes me as quite good. It can be like its own little game plan. This is Rough and Tumble, so you could click a little board sweeper, or it can kill some flyers. Definitely a nice effect. Sliver cycling, but it is a little bit clunky of a card. Sporloth Ancient strikes me as pretty good. I'm going to hover that for now. It's like every 2 turns you make a 1/1, and it makes all of your other Saproling cards better. Time of Need, legendary, but we don't really have any legendaries. Thrill of the Hunt, green, white, gold card, kind of. Destroy target non-white permanent. That's pretty neat. And then Keldon Halberdier as a last pickup. I think I'm going to stick to the green card because I got that one a little bit later. Rough and Tumble's nice. What's this do? So it's like a expensive mana fixer. I'm just going to take the Sporloth Ancient. That seems pretty good to me. Darkheart Sliver. Sack it to gain 3. It's also just a 2 mana sliver. Looks like we're going to be playing red-green potentially. We see a powerful effect in Exquisite Firecraft, and we're getting it pretty late. 3 mana deal 4 is just a nice effect, especially in this older format where things are not as powerful. There's also a Sting Scourger and a Sunlance, so I like seeing both of those because it means that white might be also open as well. So we're kind of identifying the open colors. Black hasn't seemed particularly open, but I'm not worried about that. Black seemed like the color that was a bit weaker than the others based on my initial assessment. But I think Sting Scourger is definitely worse than Firecraft. This is just premium removal. Sunlance is also nice, but looks like we're going to be headed towards red-green right now. Whoa, that's a wild card. 5 colors. But we're just going to pick up another Prodigal Pyromancer. This card just seems good to me. It can shoot like your opponent's face. It can also just shoot down their like fungus tokens, or just like their random 1/1s, their 2/1s. And so getting 1/6 pick is a nice little signal point, I'd say. Okay, in this pack, 2-mana, 2/1 that can gain protection from red is a good sideboard card at the very least. This card could be good if I get other slivers, and there are some slivers that I might want. Oh no, this is a I thought this was the one to give all slivers +2/+0. This isn't my favorite sliver. Coal Stoker, 4 mana, but it gives you a rebate on the mana. I generally don't love the card because it's a little bit small on its own. I think I'd rather take the Goblin. Isn't very great. If I end up being a more aggressive deck, I might just need 2-drops. And it's a good sideboard card against red decks, is why I like it. It's not really a main deck card, IMO. Okay, I'm just going to take this for the sideboard. This is the sliver I thought I was seeing last turn. All slivers get +2/+0. There is a Kavu Primarch, which is another card that I like. It's just a massive creature. It's either a 4-mana 3/3, but Convoke means you can cast it for cheaper. And then you can pay 8 mana, but discount it for all of your creatures. And get a massive threat that's really hard to deal with. There's also a Thallid Germinator, which can be really annoying. It also works really well with the Ancient. I think I kind of want to take the Germinator because it seems like a more powerful card for my archetype, potentially. Though that other card is a bit of a payoff for it. So it's tough to say which is better, but I like getting a little 3-drop rather than a more expensive card. If I didn't have Sporloth Ancient, I would have taken the other card, but getting multiple Saproling Generators seems nice. So we're kind of settling into red-green. Empty the Warrens could be good with a token theme. I don't love Orcish Cannonade. Char Rumbler seems tough to use. I think I'll take it, though. Ooh, and we got this card back. This card seems pretty good to me. I don't know. This card's also decent as just a flyer. I don't know what I'm missing with this card. It seems pretty good. Giving a creature -1 toughness is really nice because there's some like 1 toughness white cards like Amru Scout and stuff. +1 power can be annoying, but I think -1 toughness is really nice. Looks like our colors are open, which is nice. We'll take the Molten Slagheap because if we do want to splash black for some reason, it would be helpful. Whoa, late Halberdier. This card seems pretty good to me. 4/1 first strike is massive. Sliver Cycling. The green-white gold card that we're not playing, and then this card can be really bad fixing, but Halberdier's nice. I guess we'll take the only green card. It's a sliver. I don't think artifacts are a big enough theme for me to want to take this over a potential like flyer, but maybe I'm not going to want that anyway. Last pick red card's a good sign, so we have a great red-green deck building here. Let's look at our converted mana cost. We have a couple 5-drops, but this can be cast for cheaper. We got a 4-mana 5/5, which seems great. A lot of 3s, but no 2-drops. So we're probably not really an aggro deck here, but we'll hopefully have some ways to spend mana in the early game. Storm Entity. +1/+1 counter for each other spell cast this turn. I don't love it. Hard to enable. Rift Elemental, you can remove time counter. So to buff it, and so that makes this thing a little bit better. I think I'm just going to stick with a Dead and Gone. It deals 2 damage to target creature, and then the Gone half is return a creature I don't control to its owner's hand. So it's like a nice flexible card. You can't do both, but you can do one or the other, which is really nice. Wrathy Trapper is also a good card, but not in my colors. I guess we could technically abandon green as well if we see something too good enough. We have 3 pretty good green cards, but no need to stick to green for like hugely, other than the fact that I have some good green cards. I guess there's also like 4C if I wanted to go into blue, Wrathy Trapper if I wanted to go into black, but I'm just going to stick with the red cards because that's the color I know I'm playing. I will also say that small damage effects get better when you have a card like Prodigal Pyromancer because you can use them to add up, so to speak. So like I ping something and then deal 2 to it to like finish it off, or more likely the opposite order. In this pack, there's a Penumbra Spider, which card that seems really good to me. It's a 2/4 that dies into a 2/4. What's the Clockwork Hydra? 4 counters on it, so it's a 4/4, and then you can put a counter on it. And it does, wow, this card's bizarre. So it's a 5-mana 4/4. When it attacks or blocks, you remove a counter from it, and if you do, it deals 1 damage to any target. So it blocks and attacks as a 3/3 essentially, but it can put counters on itself, and it can block and pump itself, so it blocks as a 4/4 that can then ping things. This card seems interesting at the very least. I don't know how good it is. Between that and Mog War Marshal just to get some 2-drops, Penumbra Spider as like a nice defensive body. I kind of like the Penumbra Spider. Maybe this card's just a house. The format does seem kind of slow and clunky, and this card's like a must-answer threat. I'm just going to take the Penumbra Spider. This card seems really, really good to me. Gemhide Sliver. There's the skipper. This card's real good, it looks like. Ramps me up to all my expensive stuff. Taps for any color. We'll have to see on that Clockwork card. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. It doesn't do well against my... I guess it does do pretty good against Pyromancers. Primarch is definitely looking pretty good still. In my opinion, this card could be okay. I think I go Gemhide Sliver followed by the Primarch, followed by the Dusk Wasp. So maybe I just want Dusk Wasp so I can do something on turn 2. Pretty nice 2-drop here. Pact of the Titan. You create a 4/4 and then you have to pay 5. But it's like instant speed and 0 mana. And then you just pay 5 on your next turn. That seems pretty good. There's also Duskwood Baloth, which is another card that could be good. 3 mana, -4/-4 is a good card, but not really my colors. I feel like Pact of the Titan's good. It's a flash 4/4 is the way you think of it, and then you just pay for it on your next turn. So like a 5-mana 4/4. Duskwood Baloth is one that I want to try out. I think it's between the Baloth and the Pact, but I'm not going to get to experience the Pact as often, so it's going to be harder to determine whether it's good. Putting in the 5-drop slot, of course. Creatures you control get +1/+0, and it has buyback. And Storm. That's kind of interesting. I think we're just going to take the Thallid Shell Dweller. You can put a Spore counter on it, and you remove 3 to make a 1/1. It works well with our Germinator and our Ancient. I think that's going to be better than Thornwield Archer. I do like both of these cards, though. Hey, Isaiah. They both seem interesting, but I think I want to kind of go for the little theme a little bit to try it out. Because, yeah, I'm not sure how many chances I'll get to try it out. I kind of wish I'd taken that uncommon, the 5-mana thing. It seems pretty good. Reach Death Touch is good as well, but gonna take this. Ooh, Ramunap Ruins, nice. All slivers have double strike. Thank you so much, Isaiah MTG, for the subscription. I really appreciate that. In this pack, there's a double strike sliver, which is nice. I have only one other sliver, and I'm not going to get that many in red-green, probably. Also, Battering Sliver, Spinneret Sliver. But Thallid Shell Dweller seems like a nice card if I go for this Thallid theme. I think I'm just going to keep taking the Shell Dwellers. I kind of like having that plan. Ooh, another Clockwork Shaman. I get another chance. Hydra. I get another chance. This card can be good for fixing, but I don't really need to splash anything. I generally start out pretty conservative in my picks to some degree. I am testing out the Pact of the Titan. I'm not sure on Clockwork Hydra. It seems good with my defensive stuff. I've got a lot of pingers already. Timebug, Nantuko Shaman. This is like a nice 2-for-1. Don't I want 2-drops? I have a couple 2-drops now. I don't need to prioritize Mog War Marshal. I'm just going to take the Nintuko Shaman. Little 4-drop action. Ooh, another Germinator. Nice. This seems like it's going to get really annoying for my opponents. I'm going to have a couple Shell Dwellers, a couple Germinators. Conflagrate. X damage divided you choose among any number of targets. This card's pretty... for 5 mana, you can distribute 2 damage. Not as good. I'm just going to take a Germinator over the Kavu Primarch again. I'm just going to take all of these like Thallid enablers and see how it does. I guess I'll just take this card in case I really need to splash something. Vandal Blast in case I need to kill an artifact. Primarch versus Giant Dusk Wasp. I feel like Primarch could be good in my deck if I'm making some Thallids and stuff. Got to get this spell curve going, just like LSV. He has all his spells on one side and creature on the other. I kind of want to try this card out at least. It seemed really good to me, and it works well with these Shell Dwellers and stuff. Buffing my Slivers, potentially. I guess Fortify is a card that I might have wanted. I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty settled into red-green here. I like this card with all my potential tokens, and this card seems like a real good pickup with my, like all of my cards. That's so awesome, World Rock. Fantastic. Great to hear. I think this deck is really turning out well. Firewake Sliver. All slivers have haste. Sack a creature, this permanent gets +2/+2. That's not that good, I don't think. There is a Terramorphic Expanse for just more consistent mana. There's also a Giant Dusk Wasp. I don't like this because then my opponent plays a sliver and bashes me. And I don't have that many slivers. Slivers are kind of a risk because it buffs all your opponent's slivers. I have such a powerful deck right now that I kind of just want to take the Terramorphic Expanse for my mana purposes. I have a couple of cards that can use this thing decently, like 4 powered creatures. But it's also just a combat trick at the end of the day. I kind of want to try the Dusk Wasp. Suspend 4 is a lot, but it seems decent. I'm just going to take the Terramorphic Expanse, make sure I don't get mana screwed as often, because I do have some double green cards and early red. I don't know, and maybe I could splash something if I need to. And I have a lot of playables already. That's kind of my default mode. When there's nothing too good for me, and I already have a lot of playables, I'm generally just fine to chill and take a nice land. Oh yes, Sporoloth Ancient, so good. Oh, that's pretty good. This card's sweet. So I have 1 suspend card. But I think Sporoloth Ancient is just too good in my deck to not take it. But this card's pretty sweet as well. But yeah, now I have 1, 2. I'm glad I took all these Shell Dwellers. So I have 2 of those, 2 Germinators, and another Ancient already. So I've got like 4 cards that are going to be getting to things. And then I can remove 2 of them to get it. So I might just even want to save up some counters. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I like it. Another Sporoloth Ancient. I am doing it. Let's go. I wouldn't mind a search for tomorrow, I don't think, because it helps me ramp up to my 5-drops. What did I take this Pact of the Titan over? I forget. But I'm liking our end game here. And then we have these Germinators to use those Saplings to good use. Wow, this is looking really good. Okay, now another Suspend card. We'll get to experiment with this guy. I did want to try this out. Was that what I took Pact of the Titan over? I think it was. It's like another top-end card. Ooh. So this is an interesting pack. There's another Pact of the Titan. But my deck does have a lot of 5-drops already. Prismatic Lens helps me cast these cards a little bit earlier, and I do have a lot of expensive things. Joyer of the Gichu doesn't seem that good or worth splashing to me. Brute Force could be okay, but I kind of already have like built-in combat tricks for my Germinators. Utopia Vow is a removal spell for any sized creature, which seems good. Because I currently can't deal with massive things, but it's such a downside to try and use early on, and it still doesn't deal with activated abilities. I think I'm just going to take the ramp so I can cast my 5-drops earlier. It can't cast Imperiosaur, but it can cast some of these other cards. And I do have a lot of 5-drops and expensive things, so I'm just going to take the ramp. Well, the red-green card that can tap for mana seems pretty good for me. Again, it doesn't ramp out this thing, but I'm going to be playing this normally a lot of the time anyway. Archer is pretty solid. I'm getting a lot of the early drops that I kind of wanted here, which I like. And if I use it at instant speed, I can use it to pay for what? This thing, I guess. So I guess I'll just take Rada. Wheel of Fate. So it's like a wheel effect. There's also a Prodigal Pyromancer. There's a Gathan Raiders if I had some Madness synergies, which I don't. So I'm just going to take another Pyromancer. Pyromancers also help me keep the board in check and finish the game. What's this? Target spider, rat, or squirrel. Yeah, not taking that. I don't have the insect. No, I do not. There's a drake. I'm just going to take this guy again, try it out. Seems pretty decent if I cast it early. Or I can just ramp into it. I have some ramp in the deck. So we have 26 cards here, but there's one land here. And so I can then probably cut the Bone Splitter Sliver. With slivers, it's risky because you don't want to make your opponent's slivers better. What's these things do? So this is the second give reach +2/+2. I could check another Bone Splitter. There's a Fathom Seer, which is pretty decent, I think. This card seems pretty decent. Joda's Avengers. You can gain Pro Red. Yikes. Okay, just taking some slivers that I could potentially play. I think there was a black card that had to do with Spore counters, but we're pretty fine in the... Yeah, I'm pretty... Actually, I'm okay that I didn't take that 5-drop that like pings things a lot, because I have a lot of pinging anyway, and I have don't really have the mana to spare. The 5-drop spots to spare. Oh my gosh, what? That's pretty brutal. That seems like a really scary card. I'm surprised that's still in the pack, actually. So I think our deck ended up really good. I like where it ended up. We have 3 2-drop rampers and a couple of defensive cards early in the curve. And then we have also got these suspend cards to try out. Neat. And then first impression. This is my first draft. I did make a video with some first impression type things, so you can check that out on YouTube. Okay, so thick-skinned goblin. We don't have any echo costs, but we will side this in against other red decks. Vandal Blast. Nope. 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 Don't need this. Don't need the splitters because we already kind of have expensive things. Group creatures separately. Don't need this. Don't need this. Don't need this. I think we're in good shape here. So these are the cards we're considering. 25 cards plus a land already in the deck. So maybe we just side this in against white decks that seem like they have targets. So we have like a couple of sideboard cards. We have this for white decks and this for red decks. I'm sure white decks are going to have some targets for this, but you want to make sure you can kill something with this, I think. So this is 23, but we do have a decent amount of expensive cards, and we have some mana ramp here. So like sometimes, so this is 20, this is 17, this is going to be 17 lands. This is a 5-drop. This is going to be 17 lands. We have, do we have any mana sinks other than expensive cards? Not really. I think this card's fine as a mana ramp that's like also just a relevant creature, but this thing, it is like almost like an 18 land deck, and we don't really have mana sinks, so we could flood a little bit extra. Are there any cards that we want to play that could help us with flood? I guess flooding might just be an issue. Because this lens is a card that I'm looking at. I'm eyeballing whether or not to cut the lens for something. I will say big creatures could be a problem, but we have a lot of good Sporloth Ancient synergy for Saprolings to gum up the ground. I might just cut the Prismatic Lens. I have a decent curve. Having an extra 2-drop to help me accelerate up to these guys seems good. But I don't really do much once I get there. So I might not want the Prismatic Lens, even though acceleration's nice, and it's like kind of a form of mana fixing if it doesn't ramp you. It's like still nice to, I don't know, it's nice to have ways to spend the mana. I don't really have any good mana sinks in the sideboard, but maybe I'll board out a land on the draw. And that could be how I compensate for that. But regardless, we're going to try this build out. Let's sort by the colors. We're going to be heavy green, I think. Yeah, pretty heavy green. This is where Terramorphic Expanse comes in handy, because you can go like, we're going to go 9 green, 7 mountains, and then we'll have actually a 10-8 split. Because we do want red early, so we can cast this, cast our spells. Pretty nice curve, I'd say. Good sideboard tech. We can always sideboard in either our white anti-white card or our anti-red card. Or just like a 6-mana 4/4 or something. 4-mana 4/2 reach. We have some options on things to sideboard in, depending on the matchups. But yeah, that's going to do it for the draft portion. I'll see you folks in the matches. Before I get to the matches, I want to give a huge shout out to all of the patrons who support me and my content at patreon.com/NicolaiBolas, and special thanks to those who support at the credits level. It has grown to such a point where there are now 2 columns of patron credit folks, and I really do appreciate all of the people who help me continue producing high quality content on a consistent basis. If you think that my videos have provided you with some value, you can find more information about what it means to become a patron at patreon.com/NicolaiBolas. As I said before, it is flexible. It can be for any amount that you want each month, and it can be canceled at any time, so there's no long-term commitment if you have an unstable situation budgetary-wise. But I really do want to thank all of the patrons who support me, and without further ado, let's get to the matches. Welcome to round 1. On the draw, we are going to mulligan. And then we can keep this and ditch Pact of the Titan. We need red mana. The Shell Dweller can gain us some spores, and then the Sporloth Ancient can just come in and capitalize. We do want a mountain. But we need to make our opening hands really do need green, so I think our split of lands is fine. Well, if we draw a mountain, this card gets embarrassed. And if we don't, then, I mean, it'll take us a while, but we'll eventually draw a mountain and just crush this card. Okey-doke. So they hit us for 1. We're okay with that. They're not making a swarm of flyers just yet. Morph. So it's probably a Fathom Seer. Always yield to those. There we go. That's the perfect time to draw a mountain. So this is a Fathom Seer. It's a 2-mana 1/3. I hope they don't have the like 4-mana 3/1 that like makes this thing not good. Pretty sure there's a Fathom Seer or something. Next turn I'll just jam the Imperiosaur, I think. 4-mana 5/5 is good no matter how you swing it. They're color screwed at the moment. It's possible Prismatic Lens is also just worse than a basic land. Oh. Oh, that's going to be good. This morph could also be one that's dangerous. I'm just going to cast Imperiosaur and pass the turn. I think there's one that buffs stats. But not for 2 mana, I don't believe. I'm not sure on that, though. I don't know exactly what the cards do. So they have Cloud. I'm going to write down the cards again. It's going to help me learn the cards faster. And I'll just auto pass through this turn. Calciform Pools. So what's this morph? Hey. I just play my second Prodigal Pyromancer. Oh dear. Okay. I don't think that counts as being turned face up, so I do think I get to untap here. Well, Brine Elemental's good to know about. As is Momentary Blink. And then we're just going to play our Pyromancer over the Rod. Otherwise, we could play the Ancients next turn if we played the Generator, but getting our Pinger into play another turn early is nice. Remember, we can ping face. And now they can't play a lot of their creatures until they kill these, which blue doesn't do super well. They probably think we're silly or something. Sure, I'll suspend it. I've got some time, and giving a haste is nice. I have 2 things to cast already with my mana. Obviously not attacking. They're charging up their Calciform Pools. They have a lot of spells in hand. They have been missing land drops. They're on 4 lands, but so are we. Sunlands, okay. Imgur Links are the best. World Rock. Sunlance. Duskrider Peregrine. Pro Black. I'm glad I'm not a black deck. Jeez Louise, that'd be brutal. Duskrider Peregrine. Sunlance is good to know about, I guess. There's a card. So we'll get to make 2 Saprolings. Thank you so much, Jay Rolla, for the subscription. Thanks for that 2-month streak. I really appreciate that. So this costs 4. So it's probably a Fathom Seer if I had to guess. But I'm going to make them do it right now, so they have to reset their lands. Okay, what was it? Whipspine Drake. That's scary. Okay. And I'm putting stars on my note sheet next to the morphs that I've seen. Okay, so they have a couple of flyers. Flyers are a problem for me. This matchup could be tough. So I think I'm going to bring in this Needle Peak Spider and cut the Prismatic Lens. They are neither red. They are not a red deck. They are a white deck. So this Sulfur Elemental is a card that could be good. But I have not currently seen any cards that it kills. Yeah, I don't think Ukabi Drake is better than the Needle Peak Spider, and I'm just going to cut the lens. This is a classic MTGO moment. That did not copy paste very well, World Rock. You can just do the link from the top or whatever. That's kind of a yikes. Okay. Duskwood Baloth. Well, we're going to get to see how powerful it is to suspend it on turn 1. That's pretty nice. Yeah, I'll look at it a little bit. Ooh, nice. That's kind of okay for us because we have this Pyromancer. Then on turn 4, we can suspend the Shaman. We didn't see much removal. They could have a counterspell or a momentary blink or something, but that kills their own guy. They could have a Mana Tithe, but we're not going to play around that when we haven't seen it. Gossamer Phantasm. They do have a good Flyers deck. Good thing we had this Pyromancer at the ready. Okay, so we are going to suspend this thing. And then on their upkeep, we will ping it just in case they had some sort of weird counterspell thing. Yep, got him. Okay, 5 mana, 3/5. Pretty good, but not against our Exquisite Firecraft situation. So we draw a card. Nice. And then next turn our 5/5 comes down. I think we're in pretty good shape, even though we do have 3 lands in hand. Castle Raptors. Aven Riftwatcher, eh? Okay, that's looking a little bit better than I thought it would be. Okay, so Aven Riftwatcher. Eventually I'm going to be able to just memorize all of these cards, but writing them down is super helpful. Or hopefully I can like memorize all the cards my opponents play and stuff, but I guess we'll offer the trade of the Nantuko Shaman, maybe? They do have momentary blink to reset their guy, so trading's like probably okay. Snapback. Sure, that didn't do much. I just get to replay it. Castle Raptors, okay. They're attacking. Okay, they're getting on the beatdown plan. Combat. That's a good draw, though. This is a big creature. Coming in hot. Crunch. Ho 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 ho, I'm not going to fall for the classic don't play around Mana Tithe situation. And then we can ping them as well. Rift Watcher dies next turn. Unless they have momentary blink to reset it. And we're threatening lethal as well. Okay. Hit me for 3. I don't mind. Okay, so what we do here is in response to this thing, we ping them. Got the win. Real straightforward. Edit deck. I don't really like... I've just been... My mind has just been telling me that this Prismatic Lens is bad, and I don't want to put it in my deck. I think I'd rather just play an 18th land in the main deck. Sort by color. I have 8 red sources in this deck. And 10... I have 8 red sources and 10 green sources. Maybe I don't even want 18. Maybe I just want this thing. Maybe I just play this, and then once I know my opponent's deck, I just modify it from there. I'm just going to keep it like this, I guess. I'll see you folks in the next round. Welcome to round 2. On the draw, we have a playable hand here with like 10 green sources in the deck. It wouldn't be keepable on the play, but because we have that extra green source, because of the Terramorphic Expanse, I think it becomes playable. Because we have 2 shots at it. We have roughly like 1 in 3 odds each time, and so that adds up to be, I think, worth keeping, especially because we actually have lands to play while we wait. Infiltrator, Ilkor. Okay. That's going to be really bad against our Pyromancers, so I'm pretty happy to see that. And we did not get there this time. But we have about 6 good draws. Or I mean 13 good draws. We have a green source. Thank you so much, Andes2, for the subscription. I really appreciate that. So I will say, of our draws, we have a lot of good ones. We have 3 Prodigal Pyromancers, which would be good, and a green source, and then we just happen to draw in our 3 draw steps that we've had. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. We drew all cards that we couldn't cast. Infiltrator Ilkor looks a little bit better this time than I thought it would be. Not everything can be smooth sailing. Wow, just a hill giant here. Living the dream. Green source. Yep, that's a crying shame, as they say. Probably going to lose because of this inability to draw a green source. If I'd drawn that earlier, it would have been fine, but I don't have an answer to this at the moment. We'll do our best, obviously, but sometimes you keep marginal hands and it doesn't work out. Coal Stoker and Infiltrator Ilcore. Oh, Reckless Worm. Cool, cool. Still can't cast my cards super well, but Pact the Titan could be okay, even though it doesn't deal with this Infiltrator core problem. Okay. Don't ask me why I didn't play my Thalid Shell Dweller, because it would have been really good. I totally forgot how Pact of the Titan works. I don't have the option to pay for it immediately. Yeah, I'm dead. Okay. So we're going to just write down the cards that we saw. So we saw Sudden Shock, which is like just a shock that costs 2. Coal Stoker. Empty the Warrens. Reckless Worm. Infiltrator Ilcore. Okay, we're just writing things down. Okay, concede game, begin sideboarding. So we will take out our prismatic lens and bring in our thick-skinned goblin because they are a red deck, and we'll try it like that. Being able to gain pro red is pretty nice. That was just an unlucky situation. Sometimes it happens. I don't think we could have done anything differently. I think it's a keepable hand. Oh my gosh, I hate the resizing. It's so brutal. Yes, I'd like to play first, and this is a great hand. Turn 1 foretell our card. Turn 2 play Sliver. Turn 3 play the Pyromancer, which seems like an unbeatable card in the matchup. Having 3 of these really helps our deck out, gotta be said. Well, it's got a tough mulligan decision now. This is one of the downsides of Magic Online, is with more time to think comes great responsibility. Maybe they just have a cooking to do or something like that. It's tough because every time I consider like cutting the video to edit this thing out, they just immediately come back. Immediately. Ooh, they chose to be on the... Oh, right, I got to go first. Duh. Suspend our guy. Gemhide Sliver. Oh, they missed a land drop. Well, so did we. But maybe they'll have the discard to hand size and we'll just win. Nope. Oh, Errant Ephemeron. That could be scary. Hopefully we can take control before that. Yeah, Errant Ephemeron is definitely a scary card. Oh, so they played the Shadow one. That's good. Don't want to miss any pings here. And they scoop it up. Okay, on the draw again. They have the Ephemeron. How can we deal with their flyers? Needleseek Spider. Seems like a clean answer to it. And what would we want to cut? Also, Exquisite Firecraft is a pretty sweet answer. We just cut the Thick-Skinned Goblin. I think it's more important to have an answer to their flyer. So this hand is a keeper. I mean, obviously it's got 4 lands, but I would prefer a hand that had a Prodigal Sorcerer in it because that card is so good in the matchup. They choose for me to be on the play. Okay, interesting. That's interesting indeed. And this is a hand where I could flood out. Adding another 4-drop to my helps me avoid flood out. Okay, that's actually pretty good for me because I don't really need the mana for now. And I'd rather my Thallid Germinator stick around, I think. Oh, yeah, and they didn't have the Ephemeron. This doesn't do well against Sudden Shock. But, like, yeah, so maybe their deck wants to be on the draw for that reason. Defender Haste. That's a pretty good card. Some looting action. It's not the greatest at stopping my attackers, though. I am a little bit scared of it, though. So they have a lot of powerful effects going on, but we're going to get to play our 2 big creatures and hope to ride those to victory. The removal is not great for killing big things, so them using their bounce effect is probably pretty good. Show game log. Proceed to just make the window really messed up. Oh, it didn't actually happen this time. Let's go. They put 4 cards on top of their library. That's what you like to see. Yikes. This could just be a tough one. If like this is sometimes there's games where the cards just don't line up well for you, and this could easily be one of those times. Like on the draw, they answered our 2 first threats, and then played a looter, and then played a card draw spell, and hit 4 spells they wanted. Like, yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. I think a Prodigal Pyromancer would be really good for us here. Exquisite Firecraft would be pretty good here. Riddle of Lightning. Rift Bolt. What's that going to kill? Oh, double Rift Bolt. That makes their decision a little bit harder, at least. And they're chumping. Think twice, okay. So now their decision on what to get rid of is a little harder, because I could swarm them if they just kill my 5/5. So they might just, I think they just want to kill the 4/4 now. Okay, so they have a lot of action, but I've got 3 things on the board that are all kind of relevant. At least I guess we'll see what they go after here. Oh, they go after the 5/5. Interesting. That is interesting. Maybe they have an Ephemeron or something. So we did get a 2-for-1 back there. So in that department, we're in good shape there. We still have a 4/4, which is not easy to deal with in this set. I mean, as you saw with our 5/5, they had the 2-for-1 themselves. And every 2 turns, we get 2 1/1s or 3 1/1s. Oh, empty the Warrens. Interesting. Okay. That's pretty cool with their double suspend trick. Oh my gosh. Wow. That is not great. Wow, they actually built a storm deck? That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. I needed to draw a creature that had stats that turn. They had their big turn, though, so we're going to start overcoming them with our shell guys, our Thalid shell dwellers. Because this turn we take 4, and then every 2 turns, basically every turn we're getting a 1/1. It's just staggered. So we just need to draw one of our creatures that has stats on it, and we'll be fine. Yeah, like we don't really care about that. No, it's every 3 turns. Oh, yep, another land. Yikes. This is not great for us. If we drew another Sporelith Ancient, we'd be pretty okay, I'd say. But unfortunately, they just had so much card selection. They had their really cool combo turn, and we just came up a little bit short in the spells department. I'm glad we took out the Prismite thing, though. Jeez Louise. What a bummer. Yep. They had that extra card draw that they needed to get across the finish line. They drew more cards, which is really helpful. Another game where if we had drawn a Pyromancer, it would be very different because we would have killed this, killed this, killed this, killed this. And as it is, I think we're just dead now. Unfortunately, we drew 9 lands, including 4 in a row there at the end. I think our opening hand had 4 in it. We kept a hand that was Sliver, Gemnosaur, and Ancient and 4 lands, and then we drew 5 lands and then a couple of medium spells. It feels bad not to be able to like get a 3-0 or whatever, but you know, you can't win every round, and our opponent did some cool stuff. I will say also that we drew pretty badly to lose our two games against them. The first game, we kept a hand that needed green, didn't find green, and then that game we just flooded out. And in neither of our losses did we have our Pyromancer, and in both of those cases, Pyromancer would have been incredible, probably game winning. Like if we just have a Pyromancer there, flinging away at their goblins, we just win, and we have 3 of them. So I feel like that was a very, very winnable match, and I am not like disappointed in the deck or anything like that. Sometimes you lose a match and you're like, well, their deck was just better than ours, and that one it was more so like, I think our deck was better and more consistent, and their deck kind of did its thing, and our deck just never really could keep up because we just drew pretty bad. It is important to look for things we could have done differently, which in that case I don't think there was much. Their cards just lined up well against ours, and then we didn't draw any spells. I wish we had drawn a Pyromancer. That would have been really good. Would have forced them to point one of their bolts at it, probably. But the Suspend plus Storm cards combo is kind of cool. This should be a nice little final round, though. Let's just crush someone, shall we? We did win the die roll and unfortunately have to mulligan. We can keep this, though. This is good. Keep this, and we are actually going to get rid of the dead and gone. We have a turn 1 play, turn 2 play, turn 3 play, and I think the dead and gone is a little bit less useful than the Shell Dweller, because the Shell Dweller is pretty good in our deck when we have 3 of the card to make the Saplings with it. And just make sure that we don't die while we're waiting. Obviously, it would have been nice to keep the other card, but I like suspending this on turn 1. It seems quite powerful. It was really good the other game when we suspended it turn 1. And we always yield. If I'd known I was going to draw a land, I probably would have ditched a land, as one does. Well, this card gets owned by our card. Bum-ba-da-bum. So if they don't kill this, we just pretty much snipe their Blight Speaker before it can get any value, which is nice. Wow. Oh my gosh. Sorcerer's going to do major work. They are going to get to search something up, which is a little bit unfortunate, but, you know, they are suiciding their card to do it. Icarus Slick, okay. I am wishing that I drew a spell this game. Feels pretty unfortunate here. I don't think it's that likely to draw 4 straight lands, but it's definitely in the realm of possibility. It happens. So we just have to battle back. They have an Icar Slick. So they're like a black, white Rebels brew. They're probably wondering why I'm not doing this. It's because I don't really need the 1/1 right now. But once I draw my 5/5, I can get just more efficient conversions in terms of like the cards that I get. So they can start searching up other rebels. Rebel scum. Pretty cool effect here. What are they going to get? The pacifism, maybe? If they had the pacifism, they would have already gotten it. The pacifism seems really good. There's like a tribal sorcery. I mean, tribal enchantment. Ooh, unblockable. Nice. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, they already have the Bounded Silence. I see. I see. Echo, Flying Haste. Cannot be blocked. And they can hit me for once. They're doing 5 to me a turn. And that doesn't really do much for me. It is fringed. It is. So they have to discard their last card, but we're probably dead. They're doing 5 to us, so we're on a 3-turn clock. We don't have really interaction for these cards. Pretty much. Kind of how it stands here. They have a Riftmark Knight. Pro Black. Yikes. So you get 2 copies of it if you suspend it. That's pretty good. Yeah. I don't really think this is a gameplay mistake here. I think keeping the 3 lands was probably correct. Just didn't really line up properly. I could have cast this. but I'm not really attacking super effectively anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Maybe I can snipe something with it still. Then play a Penumbra Spider. Oh, they have another one? They have 3 of them. Jeez. Times 3. Yep, I'm just going to scoop this up. I cannot win. Don't really want to show them back to the Titan. Okay, so Sulfur Elemental does not do that much. My 3 Pyromancers would be really good. That one game where we got 2 Pyromancers out was like unlosable. So we'll try to do that again. So we can cut this thing for the 4/2 reach to deal with that 2/2 flyer. Do we have any artifact creatures? No, so we can't block it. Yeah, I think we're just gonna maybe make this change again so I can deal with that flyer. This hand is fine. It doesn't have a red source, but you know, we can find one. We have 8 of them in the deck, and we have stuff to do if we just find normal lands. It is a little bit of a borderline one, but mulliganing is really bad, so you tend to just keep the borderline hands. This could easily be a hand where we just cast the Nantuko Shaman to give us time to find red. And when you have like one of your best cards in the matchup, you don't want to mulligan a lot of the time. If we do draw a mountain, this hand becomes quite good. Like imagine we draw a mountain, suspend. Okay, Fifth Viscus. Yikes. Okay, now I am just going to wait because I have another land locked up already. This is pretty neat. -2, -0. I wish I'd drawn that a little bit earlier. So I'm going to lose 10 life when they cast this. Good to know that I'm completely dead. Unless the Duskwood Baloth is somehow not on the battlefield, but I didn't realize that that was a plus. Just completely hosed. Okay. Always yield. Let's get that extra card, find our mountain so we can start doing stuff. There we go. Whew. Getting a break there. I think we have to kill this just because we're going to take 10 from this, so we just have to make sure we take a minimum damage. This can make it so our guy doesn't do anything, so we're not going to attack. Okay. Blocked by non-black creature, destroy that creature at the end of combat. Sure. So we cast our big guy. We're actually totally fine if they trade with it, because then we don't take 10. Combat. Oh, no, we can't even attack because of this thing shrinking. They'll make it a 3-power thing, and then it dies. Well, that's a real bummer. Yikes. This card's annoying. Jeez. Sacrifice to get a mountain. Ooh, nice. Well, now we can at least attack. Sure. So now we take 10. Oh my gosh, they didn't kill my big guy. Well, I should have pinged them for 1 then, as a punishment for that. Wow. I just can't attack. I'm totally dead. Oh, I thought my deck was good. Though, to be fair, I feel like this is a little bit unlucky in the fact that this card plus this card just... I mean, that's one of their combos for sure, but, like, if they don't draw this card, we're just in totally fine shape. We can attack and stuff. Or if we draw, like, multiple of our Pyromancers or things like that. I don't know. Cathysis also made us make awkward plays to, like, kill the Deep Cavern Imp. I guess I killed it before they had to discard a card to Echo, which was really bad. I wasn't thinking about that part. I forgot that that's like a non-optional thing, so that's just a misplay on my part. But I just can't beat this card in my deck, which is kind of funny. This thing is just unbeatable, almost. My deck just can't attack. My deck can't kill it unless I get 2 Pyromancers into play. Or I use this. Did they have this in play when I used my Dead and Gone? They might have. They totally might have. It's very conceivable that they did, and I just completely botched it and lost because of it. Oh my gosh, why didn't I make the 1/1s? Yep, probably should have made those. I'm not paying attention right now. I'm trying to think. I was thinking about how I can attack here. I think this is my last chance because I'm going to take 2 and then 5. Huh. Judge unworthy. Well, that's dead. I'm not unhappy with how I drafted or played these games, really. They might have had this thing on the battlefield, in which case it was pretty bad not to kill it, given what I now know. But at the time, I was thinking that I had an uncounterable 10 damage coming at me. So this thing hits me 5 times and I die, and as you can see, I don't have any ways that I would have been able to block it. So I probably would have died as well if I hadn't killed that. So killing that's fine. I should have made them discard first, though. Yep. We are dead. It's tough. It's a tough world out there. These cards just tough to beat. And then we just take 3 pings and 3 pings and we're dead. Yep, I'm just going to concede. There's nothing I can draw that makes a difference. Yeah, 1 and 2 in the first draft of the format is a little bit disappointing, but to be fair, some of those losses were really unfortunate. So we won the first round, partly because one of our games opponent, in one of the games the opponent got pretty mana screwed. Then in the second round, I'll just pull up the deck so people can look at the deck while I give the little post-game synopsis. Second round, one of our losses, we just didn't draw our one of the losses we didn't draw our second color, and we also lost to them having a really good series of plays on the draw and then us flooding out pretty badly and never drawing our Pyromancer. And then in the third round, we drew 6 straight lands in a row in the first game, and then the second game, they just had a good combination of cards to beat us. We did have this Exquisite Firecraft, which would have been good to draw there. We had Rough and Dead and Gone. Thallid, we didn't make a single Thallid with these Shell Dwellers, even though we had the Sporloth Ancients because the 1/1s wouldn't have mattered. But at that moment, if we had the Germinators going, that could have been a cool little synergy to assemble. Or if we just drawn like 2 copies of Pyromancer in any of those games, that would have been pretty hard for most of them to beat. I don't know. The deck felt pretty good. It could have gone 2-1 pretty easily. We just got a little bit unfortunate. And that's just how it goes sometimes. It's all about that mental strength. You got to think about what you could have done better, which I think we played that pretty well. We learned a lot about the cards in the set. Some of the cards performed really well. Like I expected, the Pyromancer in particular. Shell Dweller, I think, could have been good if we had different types of games, but the 1/1s just never would have mattered because people kind of went around us with tokens or flyers or evasive things. I will say Blight Speaker performed really well for my opponent in that last game. Makes me value it a little bit more. I liked the Shaman. It felt good. Never got to cast into Spider. The Imperiosaur felt really good. Primarch would have been pretty good. I think Pact was okay, but we never really had them. We never got to do like the dream scenario of like casting a 5-drop on turn 5 and having Pact to the Titan up. Never really got to do Rada things. And Dirkwood Baloth did pretty decently. So overall, a pretty fun draft and learned a lot about the format. If you did make it all the way to the end of the video and you're watching this on YouTube, take that extra second, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you want to find more of my content in the future, and comment with your questions, thoughts, or feedback down below. It's free to do all of those things, and it does help out the video. It helps more people see it, and if you enjoyed it, then maybe other people will as well, and so helping it out is appreciated. You can also, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, in the comment section down below, what's a fun one? Leave hashtag the value of pings, because Prodigal Pyromancer was the key to all of our victories. I feel like it just took over games a lot of the time, and it was pretty powerful when it did come together. We had 3 of them, and the games where we drew them was very good. We lost the Storm deck partly because we didn't draw spells as well, to be fair. Like, we cast turn 4 Imperiosaur, turn 5 Sporloth Ancient, and then didn't cast a spell the rest of the game, which tends to make things easier to win if you're the opponent. Not that their deck wasn't sick. It was pretty sick. But you can also support my content directly via the Patreon, patreon.com/NicolaiBolas. It gets you access to some bonus stuff, and also just helps me continue making these videos, so it is very appreciated. Also, if you have Amazon Prime, you can link your Amazon account to your Twitch account and then subscribe to my Twitch channel at no extra cost to yourself, because Amazon owns Twitch and has a thing called Prime Gaming. So that's a way you can support my content as well, support it directly, and to help me continue making these videos. And then you can read my articles. I recently wrote an article about how to continue gaining an edge in call time during the middle of this format when it kind of figured out. So you can check that out. I linked that's by following the link down below. And you can also join the NicolaiBolas Discord server to talk about all things Magic. A lot of people are drafting together, so if you ever want to have some folks to draft with, or just people like looking over your shoulder while you're drafting, talking about your picks and stuff, that's something you can get in the Discord, and it's really fun there. That is going to do it for this draft video, though. I do hope you enjoy it, and yeah, Time Spiral Remastered seems really sweet. I'm looking forward to drafting it a bit more, and I will talk to you folks next time.